The biggest battle that we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will be interviewing individuals who have done that, who have gone through the struggles, who have tried to create a reality and all that they could. And when all the odds were against them, they made the impossible possible. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for being on the podcast and taking this journey with me as we go through and discover different avenues.
Hey guys, before we jump onto the show, I wanted to share a couple things that we have going on. If you haven't checked out my new book, Rediscover Your Greatness, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, and so forth. If you want an autographed copy, you can go to www.empoweryourreality.com, and you can go ahead and purchase it there, and we'll send you an autographed copy of the book. Second, we have some amazing free, may I say, programs coming out. Check out on our page at empoweryourreality.com, you're going to see a link there called Classes on the top right. Click on it. We have a free 7-day week program that we've launched, and what it is really just sharing with you. You get a video from me every single day, and I'm going to share a tip with you on how to help disconnect so you can reconnect to who you are. You can reconnect with your soul. You can reconnect with your intuition, your heart center, your heart consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to help you just slow down the busyness of your life and try to create more calmness and stillness within you. And every day I share a tip. There's some homework with it sometimes, and it's just going to help you to learn about some different aspects to use in your life. See, whatever you like, use. Whatever you don't, just throw it away. Discard it and never even pretend like you never even heard it. But it'll be able to help you with that. And we also have some other great programs that are coming out. We're having a 5 open the door to 5 individuals for group coaching. So you can check that all out on the Empower Your Reality site. We're going to be starting that program on July 30th. So it's 5 individuals who I'm only going to take on. And we're going to go through a ton of great stuff to help you rediscover your greatness, help to really help you reshift and focus and center yourself so you can show up being the best version of you every single day. And we're going to talk about where your focus is, how you can keep track of where you're paying most of your attention to, and then how can we help shift you to retrain your brain to focus more on the things that you desire. So you can check that all out at empoweryourreality.com. And now we'll get to the show. Thanks for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of The Mindful Experiment. This is Dr. Vic, and today we are talking about something that every single human goes through. We all have experienced this. Nobody gets away with this. And no, I'm not talking about taxes or death. This is something that we all experience some point of our life, and it's called pain. It has many different names. It shows up in many different circumstances. You can call it negative, the darkness, many different varieties. But I promise you, as we go through this podcast today, it's going to be more one of those uplifting ones. You're going to see things from a different perspective. And that's my goal of doing today's podcast, is really to show you and share with you a potentially different avenue. I'm not here to tell you what to think, because you know what? There's too many of those people out there. My job is trying to help you how to think, how to see something technically a little differently, and how you can see it as your greatest gain. In life, man, struggles are going to come. That's just part of life. So one of the things I want to share with you right off the bat here is I want you to think of a sine wave. You know, the sine wave is a little bit like a wave that has a high arc on the top, and then it comes down underneath. And it's one of those things that just always has an up, and it has to have an on below. And so in life, and in my book, I kind of talked a little bit about this called the law of duality. And but this is pretty much what we're going to dive into today. And what that means is you can't have an up without a down. You can't have good without bad. You can't have light without darkness, right? And it's just a universal principle in the physical world. And so when you look at the sky, the only way the stars can exist, the only way that they could shine is if there was darkness there. Because if it was all light, well, you wouldn't see the stars. And just like if it was all light, in the human language, we would not have darkness. There would be no need for it, so why would it exist? You see, that's the beauty of the universe. Everything exists because it's needed, not just because. Just like you, being in this world at this time, the soul, the eternal part of you, there's a need of why you exist. Just like everything that happens in the world is all needed. There's rarely any circumstances that happen that were like, oops. I mean, rarely. I mean, I'm talking trillions and trillions and trillions of episodes, maybe one out of them. And it's one of those things where when you look at shifting your perspective and looking at pain, my goal for today is to really have you have an open mind to it, kind of accept it. Because let me tell you, I already know that going through pain sucks. Physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, chemical pain, whatever it is. Anything that you feel in your life that is like a negative, I'm doing air quotes when I say that, it's one of those things where you look at and it's going to be that perspective of, shift it and let it empower you. So let's think about something here for a second. I want you to take a moment as you're listening to this podcast, and I want you to take one moment and think of a painful painful experience, something that you experienced in your life, right? Now, it could be as a child, it could be something as adolescents, adults, it could be whatever you want to call it, whatever era in your life, it don't matter. It's just the viewpoint of you seeing it in a perspective that was negative or harming, or you have a story behind it that you've created and put a lot of energy behind it. So I want you to get that in your mind. And once you have that in your mind, I want you to take another moment now and look and say, okay, so that happened. I experienced that. Now, from that moment, you have two options. You can allow that experience to break you down, or you can allow that experience to allow you to grow. And I will tell you, if you've done the work, your negative, so on quote unquote word, negative experience truly created an empowering experience. It gave you power. You grew from it. You learned from it. And it helped you teach you something. Because life, this is why there's ups and downs. And in my personal opinion, when you're on a down, what's happening is that's your lesson. That's your growth time. That's when you're cooking, right? And you're putting all the stuff together and trying to get the senses together and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, when you get it, there comes the growth. And now you skyrocket up to the top. And then after that, you enjoyed that experience and everything's good. Then life comes and says, okay, time to learn a new lesson. And then boom, after you learned it, you skyrocket back up and you go up and down. And it's just a way of life. The key I always say in life is how can you balance that as much as you can and take away so much of the emotional drain that may come from it, the frustration, the anger, and try to minimize it and always see your perspective and knowing that, well, this crap's happening to me. Great, I don't like it. But you know what? There's going to be growth out of this. There's going to be expansion out of this. I'm going to empower my life. I'm going to learn something from this. And it's going to take me to that next level. It's going to mold me to who I need to become. So whatever it is in your life, someone betrayed you, someone lied to you, someone, said something negative about you, someone, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because the key thing is whatever that is, that's pain, right? And whatever that pain is, that darkness, you can let your light shine through it when you do the work, when you look at it from a different perspective, when you take a moment and say, you know what? The universe is always working for me. If the universe is always working for me, then how the hell can something come to me without me requesting it, without me asking for it, without my highest good in mind? You see, the universe is always doing that. It's always looking for your highest good. And it's always going to give you what you focus on most. And so when something happens, sometimes life's trying to smack you right in the face and say, hey, you've been focusing on things such in a wrong way. We need to, or not in an optimal way, or not in the way you truly desire. So we're going to throw circumstances at you until you wake up and really realize, hey, crap, I've been doing this for how long? This isn't good. I need to change this up. And the universe is going to do that for you. And sometimes I always say, if you don't make the change in life, life's going to make you change. And that can come in so many different forms, so many variables. It's infinite of how that can show up. But the key for you is no matter what your darkest moment was in life, no matter what you are experiencing in life, no matter what you're going through, at the end of the day, you always have a choice. And that choice is either take this and let it empower you, or take it and let it shrink you, belittle you. Cover your light, not let it shine. Mute yourself, mute your voice. Because when you allow things in life to take away for who you are, and you see it as a story, a victim, or whatever it may be, you give up your power. You give up that eternal source, that infinite source of energy, that infinite life-giving source energy that you are. And you put it towards something that minimizes you. And it shrinks you. And then all of a sudden, over time, you start to feel burned out, stress, depression starts to kick in. And then you start looking at things and saying, well, you know, I used to have all this energy, and I used to see things as a world, I had this awe for the world, and now it's just not there anymore. And then all of a sudden, life is just slowly draining because your light is not shining. And so as you continue to teach yourself and you attract in your life more experiences that dim your light, you're going to start seeing more and more things show up, more and more stress, more and more situations, and you're going to feel like you're out of control and you don't have your power. And until you wake up and realize that, and I say wake up, don't be offended if I say that and you get bothered by it. It's just you like getting like smacked in the face and shooken up a little and going, wait a minute, what the heck have I been doing all this time? That's why I like to say the word wake up. And you wake up and realize that, you know what? Dang, what have I been focusing on this time? Man, I've been putting my energy in all this. Because at the end of the day, you're the creator. At the end of the day, you're the one that creates all the circumstances and situations in your life. You've chosen it one way or another. May it be in this physical realm, or you did it in the spiritual realm before you came here. But regardless, it was given to you for the greater good. It was given to you for an experience to expand and grow. I can talk about thousands of experiences that I can say, man, this was my life, and this is what happened, and it just sucked. But you know what, though? There was always growth that came out of all of them. And I tell you, in time, I've talked to people, you know, when they may have been like, let's say they're close to death knocking on their door. And sometimes I'll ask, like, what was your greatest moments? And it's funny. Their most memorable moments sometimes are their hardships. Because their hardships taught them so much and gave them so much to help them grow and expand in so many different ways. And I always tell people that, you know, you have to go into the darkness in order to get to the light. Because the darkness exists because it lets the light shine. And if you want to think about this as like a candle in a dark room, I mean, a candle, let's say it's sunny outside and you have your windows open or the blinds open, and there's all this light coming in. You light a candle, it's not really going to do much. I mean, you don't really notice the effects of it. You don't notice the power of it. And then all of a sudden you shut all the lights off and it's pitch black, and then you light that same candle again. Now you see the power of that light. You see the power of that small little candle and how it can light up a whole entire room. That's you. But the room is this universe. Not this world, not this galaxy, this entire universe. And when you start to harness that darkness and allow it to come into your life and accept it for what it is. That's the first step. You have to accept it for what it is. Just know that there's something coming to you. And sometimes you're not going to have all the answers, guys. And that's the thing with our information era that we live in. We think we should have all the answers. Most of the time when the universe is giving you something, it knows better than all of us together. And so it's going to give you something that you need. You just got to focus on it, meditate on it, take some time, reflect, journal on it, do something with it, and really put your energy into it. Get rid of all the noise, the distraction, the social media, and all that garbage that distracts us from who we are and distracts us from really connecting to this physical world, this experience of life, being in the present moment, and really taking that time to do that. Because when you take the time to really focus on something that may happen in your life, the gems that come out of there, no one can teach you. The greatest lessons I've ever had in my life are the things that I've messed up on, the faults I've made, or the situations that showed up in my life. And there's so many of them. Not making enough money, being in debt, or worrying about XYZ, or the insecurities I have, or whatever it may be. and seeing such situations and circumstances show up. And then when I took time to meditate, reflect on it, write on it, and just feel from within and let my inner guidance system, known as your intuition or your soul or your heart center, guide you in that process, man, the information that comes is unreal. Because if you really tap into your heart source, your heart connection, your intuition, when you really tap into that and get rid of the mind and just really tap in the feeling, get into that feel moment, the information that comes from there is just unbelievable. It is just unreal. And I can't tell you in words, because most of the time the information I get, I can't explain. I don't know how to explain the feeling. I don't know how to explain the images sometimes. And it's kind of cool because it has always guided me throughout my whole life. Through the darkest moments of my life, that's what I would turn to. I'd ask, and at the time, when I was younger as a kid, I would ask, hey, God, why is this? What's happening here? Why? What can I learn from this? What am I supposed to gain from this? Why? This is in my life for some reason. Why? And sometimes I want to get the answers immediately. But when I let go and I just said, okay, what can I take from this and just grow from it? That's when everything transformed and changed. And now I just ask, okay, universe, you're bringing something to the table. I'm not going to get all caught up that, I tracked this in my life and I need to shift my focus, which that plays a role. But I always say, universe, I know you're always serving my greatest good. And I know you're always working for me. So either you're most likely bringing this into my life because I'm focusing on something that's not to my optimal level. And I need to be aware of what it is I'm focusing on, because the universe is always going to provide what you're focusing on. So if you got things in your life you're not enjoying, or things in your life that are not helping you thrive and grow and expand, just do a reality check on what you're focusing on. What's the most dominant thought you have in your head that you're paying attention to? What's the emotion that you're tying to it that you're focusing the most on? What's the words that you're using? Right? Those all play a role. I talk a lot about this in my new book, and I really hammer this stuff out, and sharing with you how this plays a role. How does this influence your life? And I share personal stories. I get really transparent in there. And so it's one of those concepts you really have to look at when it comes to your life. When you have pain, when you have a dark moment, when you have those times, and we're all going to have them. No one's immune to this. Jesus Christ wasn't immune to this. Buddha wasn't immune to this. Krishna wasn't immune to this. Ganesh wasn't immune to this. Tao, Lao Tzu. None of these people were immune. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Og Mandino. I can go on and on. Marcus Aurelius. None of these people were immune to suffering. They had it there. They suffered. They went through it. Some will say, of course Jesus suffered. He was crucified on the cross. Well, that's the story you've been told. There are other sufferings he's had also. Buddha, same thing. And it's one of those things that all these individuals suffered in some shape or form. Just like you suffer and I suffer. We all suffer. And suffering's going to show up. But I always say that, but through suffering, if you accept it and learn from it, that's where transformation comes from. That's where inspiration comes from. That's when you really gain and harness the lessons of life and really gain the experiences that you need, that you desire, that you've chosen. One of my spiritual teachers, I remember we used to talk a lot on spirituality and life and universe and as a soul and our journey. And I remember one time they said this, and I fought this for a little bit. And then I did some meditation, and I found peace in it. And one of the things was it said that if you have chosen, and before you came into this world, you have chosen in your spiritual blueprint, your spiritual contracts that you created, that you had to go through a certain experience. No matter what you do in the physical realm, no matter how much you focus and try to shift and change, it's going to happen. And the reason why is because you chose it to happen. And I really fought that because I was like, I'm always in control. The universe is always working for me. I go, how can it that I can't shift my focus and get centered and be empowered by that and be able to change that and shift it if I wanted to? And my teacher would always be like, if it was meant for you to change, you will see it happen. You will see it suit. But if it was meant for you to change, you would change your focus and make it change for you. And I was like, son of a gun, why are these words that they have to come up that way? Basically what she was saying is that if it was truly meant for me to go through an experience, I wouldn't be fighting it. There would be no reason to emotionally be against it. I would feel like I have to go through that. Just like when I went through bankruptcy. Not a fun experience for me. But I look back now and I was like, I had to go through that hardship. I had to. I put myself in that situation, but I had to go through it. It did something not only to my ego, it showed me I wasn't perfect, that I'm flawed. Even with a guy like myself who's really good with numbers. I'm actually really good with numbers. I'm really good with budgets and all that stuff. And some people go, well, you went bankrupt, so you don't really, obviously that's all, you don't know how to. And it's one of those things where, critics are going to be critics. There's always going to be someone who's going to talk. The hell with it. Who cares? I know why I had to go through that. And the universe provided, because after I went through that, my whole life changed. I stopped fighting. I let go. And all of a sudden, my whole entire life shifted. And I gained a lot. Trust me, financially. It made me see things. I had a lot of flaws in my mindset and things, and it broke my ego down. I had to recreate who I was, and I really had to shift gears. And I fought that for a long time. I mean, guys, it took me a year to make that decision, and I had up and down battles with it. Because I was like, I'm a chiropractor, I'm a doctor, it's the last thing I should be doing. Or, what if someone found out I did that, and then they're going to judge me, and then they may think X, Y, Z. I had all these thoughts racing through my head. And again, you have a choice, right? I was trying to avoid the pain as much as I could. And then I realized that I just got to let it go. I got to jump into this. I don't know where it's going to go, but I got to jump in. And that was a knowing within. I didn't fight that. Once I made that decision and made the choice, I never fought back. And everything went smoother than I thought. It was way too smooth. And I was just kind of like, wow, okay, things are just going way too smooth. And it's kind of cool because it's kind of like in life, in chiropractic, it's an amazing thing that we do as chiropractors. If you've never been to a chiropractor, you're missing out, because it's all about helping you be the best version of you, so you can be the most optimal response to anything that you deal with, to bring the best version every single day. Otherwise, we call it maximize human potential. That's what we do. We work on the brain and nervous system to do that. But one of the cool things about how this relates is that even though as a chiropractor, when I'm adjusting a kid, an infant, pregnant mom, adults, whatever they have going on, even though I understand that I'm making these adjustments, I'm going to help improve their nervous system and help them improve more optimally functionally with everything that they deal with in life. But when I see the miracles happen in front of me, it's mind-blowing. It's like, holy cow, this is so cool how this happened. Here's a mom, baby congested, constipation, going colicky, right? And just happening. And they've tried everything in the wazoo, went total Western medicine. And then all of a sudden, they come to the office and we do a few adjustments. And then boom, they finally have an explosive diaper and they're sleeping at night, maybe a few weeks in the care. And I'm just like, and I know how they were when they were colicky, seeing it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this is just so cool how it turns and changes. And the same thing happens in the universe. Just like in my book, I talk a lot about the universal laws, and you can, my goal of that book was to help you open up your door to understand the rules of life and how you can use those rules to really create and rediscover your greatness and really understand how to create a more inspired and fulfilled life. Because I think it's very fulfilling and inspiring that when you know that you're consciously, that's the difference here, consciously choosing your experiences and to help you grow and expand, and you know that, and you know you're doing it, and then I think there's more fulfillment and inspiration in that. And I only say that because I know that's what happened in my life. But then when it starts to show up in your life and you have a situation and you look back at the situation, then you're like, man, I'm so grateful for that. Holy cow, thanks, I'm so happy that showed up. Because now I can see the benefits of it. Now I can experience what that is. And so when you look at your life, and I hope you got this out of this podcast. If you're not, email me at drvic@empoweryourreality.com and I'll help you out with that. But check, look, ask the questions. When something happens in your life, say, what's the lesson I need to learn? Don't say, why is this happening to me? Because you're fighting things. Say, what is the lesson I need to learn? What is the experience I'm going to gain from this? How is this going to expand my life? Right? Sometimes you need to write it out in a journal. Sometimes you journal your feelings of how you feel about it. And then through journaling, there's a power about that where the answers come. Because at the end of the day, guys, to be honest with you, you all have the answers within. You all do. The things I'm sharing with you is nothing new. My podcast, my book, all the other programs I'm launching, there's nothing new. It's just pulling what you already have within and helping you align and realize it. Once you see it, then you start to be aware of it. And as you keep sending that signal to you become more aware of it. And all of a sudden you start to realize what you get these deep-rooted answers. And at the end of the day, it all came from you. And it's just like chiropractic. I love being a chiropractor because it's the same concept. People always say, "Oh, doc, you helped me with this. You helped me with that. You did this and that." I'm always like, you did it all. I'm just facilitating, removing the interference and letting the body do the healing. And the body will heal every single time. Just gotta, nature does not need no help. It just does not need interference. If it doesn't have an interference, it thrives. Anywhere in nature, you look at it anywhere in this world, anytime there's interference, things will not thrive. Once you remove the interference, things thrive. That happens on all levels, including our human bodies. So ask the questions, do some journaling, try meditation. If you're going through an experience that's really tough on you, if you're going through an experience that is something that you look at and you're just like, yeah, no, I can't. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. You have anxiety, you have anxiousness, all these things kicking in. Try some breath work. Try breathing, deep breaths. Just take minimum of 6 deep breaths. In my book, I talk about taking 15. And the only reason why I say take 15, because I always think a little extra is a little better. And you can always, it just helps make sure you get that neurological reset so that it can help calm you. Because breathing, and I'll do a podcast mainly heavily on breathing, I'll talk about the neural implications of breathing and how breathing relates to emotions, and you've patterned yourself with breathing and emotions. It'll be really cool. I promise you guys will love it. I'm actually putting it together. It should be up in a couple weeks. So check that out. But yeah, embrace it. Ask the questions. Do some journaling, meditation, maybe a little breath work, and really take that all in. And if you're still kind of questioning and trying to figure things out a little bit more, check out my book, Rediscover Your Greatness, or go to our website, empoweryourreality.com, and check out the free class that we're doing right now, 7-week free class. Check it out. There's a lot of great tips that I share every day in there that help you recenter yourself and help you stay more focused and highly centered in what you're doing. So check that material out. And as always, it's always a pleasure sharing this stuff. Share some, if you have some cool stories or comments about this podcast, your ahas and so forth, please share it on our page. Go to facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo, and you'll see the podcast. Just share, put a comment on there, or go to our Instagram page at instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Get connected with us. We have a private Facebook group too. It's an Empower Your Reality Facebook group, and it's private, so you have to asked to join. And what it is I share a lot of tips, and we're going to eventually be launching a ton of videos in there and concepts and content and for you guys to have there, so you can have interactions with other people in the community of our tribe, and to really help share tips and tools, aha moments, what you learn, what did that learn, because I'm just sharing with you experiences of the things I've learned over the last 10 years. I don't have all the answers. I never will. And so I think together with diversity, we can really become stronger as a community. And when we start sharing our concepts and our ideas, and knowing that you're in a safe place, and knowing that there's no one here judging, and that we can all share our ideas, we can all grow together and help expand, evolve to the individuals we desire, and also help us to continue to rediscover our amazing greatness within. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.
Thank you for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you rediscover who you really are, to break through those limits. For connecting with us on social media, please check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/empoweryourreality. You can check us out on Twitter. Our handle is Dr. Vic21. And also check us out on Instagram. It's instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. And as always, if this show you found to be helpful for you, by paying it forward and sharing this podcast with someone that you know who could benefit from it. And last but not least, if you liked the podcast show, please give us a review, 5-star. We'd appreciate that. Thank you for listening to The Mindful Experiment, helping you discover your infinite potential.